At this point, it's almost the end of my time in India, and I figure, hey, I gotta blow this thing out of the water. And while I'm doing that, I experience one of the weirdest sensations I've ever had in my life. So, let's talk about it. I took an overnight camel riding safari out in the Thar Desert. It was just me and a German guy I met in the hostel the night before, and of course, our endlessly fascinating guide. He had never received any formal education, instead saying that he studied at the School of Sand out here in the Thar Desert. And the biggest city he's ever been to? The small fort town of Jaisalmer. I asked him if he'd ever like to live in a place like New York. He said, New York? Is New York in the desert? Then it's not for me. As he's making us fresh chai tea, he tells us that we're about 35 miles from Pakistan, and suddenly it dawns on me. I've never been to a more remote place on Earth in my life. Here's the thing, this was the last full night of my trip in India, and from this point, sleeping under the stars and drinking a hot beer from my bag with Henry the Camel, I would wake up the next day and begin an odyssey home like nothing I've ever experienced. I knew that the next morning I'd be riding Henry for over an hour back to our Jeep, which we would then drive for an hour back to Jaisalmer. I'd grab my bag and maybe have time for a chicken biryani before hopping on a 20-hour train ride back to Delhi. From there, I'd grab a taxi to the airport and take a 7-hour flight into Shanghai. I'd then take an 8-minute train into the city. Wait, 8 minutes from the airport to the city? There's no way that's right. Oh yes it is, it goes so fast! Follow that with a 15-hour flight back to New York, an hour subway ride home, and finally, after all of that, I'll be at my comfy bed. But right now, I haven't even started any of this yet. Right now, I'm waking up after sleeping on the sand under the stars with Henry the Camel in the most remote place I've ever been. And the journey I'm about to undertake makes it all that more special. So you know what? I might just take a few more minutes and lay here, if you don't mind.
He's going the distance. He's going for